guys, it's James and welcome back to my channel. Well, it has been almost a little over actually a full year since I have posted a video, and I have kind of had a lot on my mind and a lot of things going on, but I figured I would kind of talk about something that's been a conversation that I've been having with people, as well as people have been having with me a lot recently. And I figured that, obviously I have a couple friends who are going through this. And so I figured, why not? I'm sure there's other people out in the world going through this as well. And obviously with COVID and everything, we all know what happened to the travel industry and how much it deteriorated over through 2020. But how much of a roaring boom it's coming back now in 2021, which is so amazing to see. I fly constantly. And to go from when the pandemic started and there were 20 people on the plane to now there's 15 people on standby again and the flight is 100% full again is, to me, something so amazing to see, just because it was so heartbreaking to see how the world itself ended, but especially the industry that I loved so much, to just magically change overnight. And that was definitely a big thing. But obviously, if you are somebody who loves aviation, you have kind of seen that airlines are beginning to rehire, which is amazing. Now, of course, the airlines that have been hiring are regional carriers and ultra-low-cost carriers. We have seen every ultra-low-cost carrier have openings, from Frontier, Spirit, Allegiant, and then, of course, pretty much every regional carrier is hiring right now. And of course, they have been booming during this entire pandemic because, of course, with lower occupancy on a flight, the more cost-effective thing to do is to turn the plane over, the route over to a regional airline. And of course, then they can fulfill the route with a 76-seater rather than maybe 150 seats. Sorry, Luna, my cat Luna is in the background there. But a lot of people have been asking, should I apply for an ultra-low-cost carrier or a regional carrier and just give up the dream of working for mainline? What do you think is going to be the best thing to do and why? And honestly, that is such a hard question for somebody to give an answer to, because there's so many things that go into it. My friends who are in ultra-low-cost, we saw with them that they did have voluntary furloughs. And they didn't call them furloughs, they called them voluntary leaves, which meant that obviously you took a leave. Great, awesome, people are volunteering to do that. And as a result, involuntary furloughs were not required to be given, because so many people said, you know what, I want to take this time off. Great. And that was awesome. And you only saw a couple hundred, maybe, 1,000 on there. Whereas with mainline, carriers such as American, Delta, United, you saw, American had 9,000 flight attendants furloughed roughly, and United had a ton as well. Those were flight attendants who wanted to fly and wanted to work, but because of their seniority, they were no longer given that option. And, to see people that had just graduated right when COVID was about to start and then fly for 3 months and then have the stimulus not extended and then have to be furloughed, and then you're furloughed for 6 months and then it's again, or, kept extending and things like that, is so hard to see. And, I talked to people and, there were some people that were at a base that they were 9 years in at a mainline airline and they got furloughed at 9 years in with the company. And so a lot of people are like, is there more job stability with just staying with an ultra-low-cost carrier? You might not be making so much hourly, but in the event something massive like this happens ever again in this lifetime, what is going to be better for you? And that's the hard part is, the last time something major like this happened was in 9/11, and obviously with all of that happened, things went into a stall, travel did decline, but this has been a whole new realm that even is drastically different than that for different reasons. And so, it's been very hard to kind of come up with an answer of saying, well, this is why. I personally think going with an ultra-low-cost carrier, you might not be making as much per hour, but you can fly a lot more, potentially. Do you have job stability if something like COVID happens again? Well, it's not a guarantee, but your likelihood goes way up, because obviously with this pandemic, no actual involuntary furloughs happened. They were just voluntary leaves that were, happening. Is there opportunities, obviously, to get a line quicker? Yes, which of course is a line is the dream of a flight attendant. Is there opportunities with an ultra low cost carrier, especially right now with the pandemic? They're really pushing on leisure travel because businesses have kind of taken a slowdown, but leisure is really spiking. And, I've really been looking and seen a lot of transition from airlines focusing on leisure travel and how they're going to accommodate that and get business that way. So with a business model of an ultra low cost carrier tailored towards leisure, are they going to do better long term and overall than an airline such as United and Delta and American, where they are really focused on the business aspect of the customer? Maybe not so much, of course, the leisure, but also mainly the business aspect. And so there's those on this side. And, the airlines are really rapidly starting to expand. With my previous airline, we really did not do a whole lot of international. We would do, some things down in the Caribbean, but a lot of them were just turns. You would fly out of Florida, go down, it's a 2.5 3-hour flight, go down, drop the passengers off, pick new ones up, and come right back. So you would see beautiful, Dominican Republic from the window, and that is all you got to see. Whereas, if you're working for a mainline, you might have a 30-hour layover in the Dominican Republic, and that is so amazing. Or you're going to be in London. So there's so many more opportunities to travel the world as a working flight attendant, as a mainline carrier. However, the biggest thing, though, I've also said was, as a flight attendant, even though I had long layovers, I was always so tired from working because I tried to work and fly as much as I could. So if you're working long days and you have a long layover, you still might be exhausted. And I always tell people, don't set yourself on for an airline that you have to work for because, they fly internationally and this airline doesn't. Well, the amazing thing is that as a flight attendant, you get benefits with other airlines to go places, and those other airlines will fly those international places. So instead of going on a work trip and you get, let's say you fly Dallas to London, right? You get 18 hours in London on your layover. Well, one, there's a time change. Two, you just worked a 10.5, 11-hour flight, and you have 18 hours. Well, by the time that's the time, though, 18 hours starts when the door opens. So you have to deplane the passengers, clear customs and immigration, get on your shuttle, go to the airport, get into your hotel room. There's already 2-3 hours. And then, of course, international travel back. You have to check out, get on the van, get back to the airport, get everything ready. That alone, that travel time is like 3 hours worth. So your time is already crunched down. Wouldn't you rather just get on the plane, be a passenger, and go there and be like, you know what, I get to spend as much time as I want in London because I'm on vacation. And I still have the same perks as if I was working the flight. So, when people ask me really, do you think I should just apply for a regional carrier? Do you think I should apply for an ultra low cost carrier? Or should I wait and hope that Delta's going to call me back? We were in the middle of training and we got sent home obviously because of COVID. Should I wait for them and hope that they don't cancel my CJO and I hope that I go back? Well, it's honestly a decision that's so hard to make because each person's lifestyle is different and the decisions that they make are different. You're putting your hope in something that the airlines are going to call you back and that you're going to be able to go back to flying. But if you do that, when is that going to be? Flight attendants in the aviation world have so many rumors and, people think that, this is going to happen and this is what I've been hearing and this is how it's going to be. But, the biggest thing you learn as a flight attendant is you have to be a palm tree. You could be on a trip and it's go home day and you get to the airport and you're like, perfect, it is one leg home today, great. You get on the plane, you're about ready to board, and then they call you and you're like, you know what, nope, we've actually had to reroute you. You're getting off this plane, this flight's delayed, you guys are doing 3 legs now to get home. Well, your duty day just went from a 2-hour flight, now it's 10, 12 hours. Well, things change. You got on that plane as a definitive, this is what's happening because that's what my schedule says. Well, with rumors and stuff in the airline world and what they say, things change. People thought that, it's going to be a slow increase back to travel. Well, all of a sudden, airlines were putting out there, we're seeing 150% increases on booking on an hourly basis. Things are spiking. We're hitting numbers within minor percentages of 2019. We're seeing huge growth overnight from, 150,000 people going through TSA to 1.5 million the next day. There's nothing in between where anybody can predict it. So you're going with a gamble. You're hoping that it's going to happen. You're hoping that potential rumors are true. And you're hoping that your dream of flying again is going to happen. Or you have an opportunity right now where you could take something that's different than what you expected it to be and give up potential on this other opportunity. But the biggest thing I tell people is, I obviously, as you know, left my one airline because I wanted to join another airline, and COVID hit. And it really had me look back on the reasons why I chose one airline and why I chose the second airline and what made me leave one for the other. And if that decision was right, and the pros and cons of both. And the thing is that there's so many things that go into it that I'm a very analytical person, but I've never been able to come to a full conclusion to say 110% this is the one that is night and day, the one that it is out of all my pros and cons, this is the clear thing to be. You could have in your lifetime. I lived in Vegas and I was based in Vegas. And for that time frame when I moved airlines, I thought I was going to move to Dallas, to be based in Dallas. Well, I live in Denver right now and I'm going to be moving back to Seattle very soon. Well, what do I want to do there? If I choose a regional airline that has a base in Seattle, well, great, I'm home. If I choose an ultra low-cost carrier that doesn't have a base there, then great, I'm commuting. If I wait and do a job and continue my job that I'm doing now, and then wait until my airline calls me back and then have to move again, well, is that something I should be doing? Is that worth it? Do I want to uproot my life yet again and start all over? There's so many factors that go into things, and, you could have been a flight attendant that got a CJO with the mainline. You lived in Dallas, let's say, and you were probably going to get based in Dallas. Well, you wanted to get a regional carrier. Well, all they have, the closest thing for you is going to be Atlanta. Well, do I want to fly and be based in Atlanta and commute? Or do I want to wait, hope they don't cancel everything, and then hope that I get back in Dallas? Because bases shifted so much. Things decreased at other bases. Seniority levels went through the roof. Operations just night and day changed. And, I saw friends who were on furlough come back and they had to rebid their bases, and some of them didn't have their base option anymore. They lived in base. They'd been with the airline for years, 3, 4, 5 years, bidded for their base. They didn't have it anymore because the airline had consolidated so many other bases. Senior flight attendants were forced to move from their base to the new base. Well, then that, of course, pushed those junior people out to a new junior base that nobody maybe wanted to go to. And so there's so many factors like that to go into. And so I think really the biggest thing with all my rambling is you need to come to a decision that is going to best fit your life. What is going to make you happy? If you want to fly and you don't care where you're flying, who you're working for, all your dream is to fly, then I suggest you should just go for it. I don't recommend that for any job because when I work for a company, I feel passionate about that company. Why do I want to work for them? What benefits from the manager and the ownership and from the mission statement perspective are appealing to me? Why do I want to work for somebody? I don't want to work for somebody because I can fly. I could fly for a private person. I could go fly and do what I do now, and I pay for trips and I go on vacations all the time. Well, I'm technically flying. So why did I choose the airlines I chose to go to? What was the reasoning? And so that's the biggest thing is you need to choose. There's so many regional airlines out there that offer so many different things. At the end of the day, a regional airline is an airline. A mainline airline is an airline. A plane is a plane. A flight attendant, you are a flight attendant. It doesn't matter what airline you work for. We are all certified the exact same way. We all are taught the same things. You all know the same safety equipment. You all do the same job, which is to provide safety for your passengers and provide a great customer service experience. That is honestly the basis. But how your airline operates and their mission statement and devotion to their employees and all that kind of stuff, that is a night and day difference that you will see from airline to airline. And I've spoken to so many flight attendants that talk about work-life balance or flying or bases and operations and things like that vary between different airlines in a very drastically different way from one to the other. So I think what I'm trying to really say is if you're trying to decide between them, don't wait and just second guess yourself over and over and over. Apply, go through the process and make that decision because you will really comprehend and understand for yourself when you're going through the process and you're talking to recruiters and understanding the vibe of that airline and what they stand for. Is this a great fit for me? Or, you know what? No. And the best thing to do is just email them and say, you know what? I've actually decided to make a different decision. I appreciate your time, but at this time I'm going to withdraw my application. Nothing's going to be counted against you. You can reapply again, nothing. But the worst thing to do is to get a CJO, take someone else's spot that wanted that job, but just barely missed the mark. You get into training for 3 days and you say, nope, this is not for me. I'm going home. And I have seen so many flight attendants do this in both of my trainings that I've been to. I've seen flight attendants do this. And I feel so baffled because you are in at the 2% of people who apply. You were the 2%. And you as that person took that spot for somebody else who was so close to getting it, but maybe they liked your hair better that day than that person, and that's why you got the job. Or you smiled and you introduced yourself a little bit better than them, and that's why you got the job. And then you're 3 days in and decide, nope, that's not for me. So when you choose your airline, look into, I've seen flight attendants who said, nope, I only want to be based at this airport, and if I can't get it, I'm not doing it. And they left. And that's the prerogative. So look into, that's why every airline will ask you when you apply, are you willing to relocate? And you put down yes, because look at their bases. Google it. It's on Google. It's usually on the airline application website of saying, we have crew bases in X, Y, and Z. Are you willing to relocate to any of these bases? And you need to make the decision of, can I see myself living in any 3 of these cities, or 5 cities, or 10 cities? Can I see myself living there? Would I be happy? Am I going to be able to do it? Or is this a deal breaker? You know, for someone who lives in the West Coast that absolutely hates the East Coast, refuses to live in the East Coast, well, would you apply for an airline that only has East Coast bases? You probably won't, because already right there, if you are, I'm only going to live in the West Coast, I hate the East Coast, not going to do it, well, then why apply for that position? Or vice versa. But, you know, if you've only lived in the West Coast and you want to try something new, well, then maybe that's a great opportunity for you. Apply for an airline only in the East Coast, or bid for bases only in the East Coast, and expand your experiences. That's all that flight attendant being is that. And the other thing that people really ask is pay. You know, flight attendants make different pay for different airlines, and what should I do? Well, I always recommend trying to, of course, get a better pay. Always. And of course, it's unionized. However, you can have an airline, let's say, that pays $25 a flight hour starting off, guarantees you 72 hours a month, and you start flying and you fly a total of 78 hours on average for the first 4 or 5 months, right? So you're making that $25 plus a couple extra hours a month, right? Well, say you're working for an airline that's only paying you 22 or 20, let's say 20 because it's a bigger difference, 20. Your guarantee is 72 hours, but you're flying 130 hours a month. Well, which one's going to be better at that point in time? Obviously, the one you're making less money per hour, but you're flying way more, so you're going to make more money. But again, it's all based on the demand of the company and what's going on. So you don't ever know that, but don't ever say, oh, they're only paying $17 an hour. Nope, not doing it. That $17 an hour airline might be flying 5 times more than the airline that's paying $25 an hour. So I hope this video helps in some way. I'm like trying to think as I'm going, and I feel like I've just rambled on for almost 20 minutes, so I'm sorry if that's the case. But if you love aviation and you want to fly, do what you think is going to be best for you and follow your dream of becoming a flight attendant and having your job be this metal tube at 40,000 feet. But don't set yourself up for a job that you are not going to like based on the airline. Do your research. Look at things. Watch YouTube. YouTube is great. There's so many flight attendant videos out there. Look at the airline's direct YouTube and social media accounts. What are they posting? What is the vibe that they're giving out? Do you vibe with that? Check their mission statement. Check their bases. If you know people that know flight attendants on that airline, ask them, what do you personally think now that you've worked for them? What do you think of the culture of your airline? Do you think that it is a great culture? Things like that. There's always ways to improve, but how is it going to benefit you? So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this helped. Like I said, I'm so sorry in advance if it doesn't, and it's just a 20-minute of just me going off. But I just wanted to touch base as it's been literally over a year. I can't believe a year. 2020 flew by. I'm going to try to make more videos, but until next time, again, my name is James. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and like, and I will talk with you all soon. Bye for now.